you ready to get Skinamarinked?
Oh, baby. You know I am. I'm ready to get Skinnamarink into oblivion.
Just
until
like
all
those
I
children.
see is, yeah.
I want to get Skinnamarink so hard, I'm in an infinite hallway of Legos.
Yes. I want to get Skinnamarink so hard that all I see is film grain over my entire life.
Your constant
all.
vision is just film grain.
Yeah, just like noise filters constantly.
Static constantly plays.
Yeah.
Fair use cartoons are always on.
Oh, that's all I can ever watch whenever I see a
Yeah.
TV.
You can only watch early 20s Warner Brother cartoons. Yeah. So we watched the very now popular Skinamarink.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Skinamarink is a film directed by Kyle Edward Ball, super low budget. Essentially, the plot, and by plot I mean this is the most of the plot you will get. Is essentially it's set in 1995. Brother and sister who are about, I think they say like 5 years old, wake up, their parents are gone, and all of the windows and doors to the outside are also gone. So they're trapped. They got Skinamarinked. And it's a very simple concept. And if you were to tell me you could stretch that out to an hour and 40 something minutes, I'd be like, you're crazy. But somehow this guy does, and he takes it super fucking far.
It's crazy.
So before we get into, I think, our thoughts and stuff, I want to kind of go over the background, because this one I feel is a very interesting place, because it's very similar. A lot of people compare it to Paranormal Activity, in the sense that it was made on dirt cheap, and through basically just word of mouth made a shitload of money. This one was made on a budget of $15,000 and it made $12 million. Or not, sorry, $2 million. Scratch that, $2 million. And it got, I'm also very impressed a movie like this got a theatrical release.
Yeah, I think that's the thing I want to applaud.
Yes.
More than anything else is that recently it seems like movie theaters have been doing this, like Terrifier 2.
Yes.
Fucking weird ass crowdfunded movie that somehow made it into a theater, and now this. It's like, it's pretty cool that they're starting to take chances on like really weird smaller films. And it seems to have been paying off.
The thing, I think there's two reasons for that. One, movie theaters are dying. Love it or hate it, it's the fact. I think they're desperate. They're like, sure, why not? We'll show this. It's cheap, probably cheaper for them to get than fill a fucking Disney movie in there. But I think it is the success of Terrifier 2. Because that was just, I mean, the first Terrifier, it was relatively popular, you know? It like wasn't a household name or anything, but you talk to really any horror fan and they know it or have an opinion on it. So when the second one came out, it was like pretty anticipated, and it was like, oh, one weekend, the unrated cut in a theater, sweet. I know we were there first chance we got, because that was fucking cool, and I've never experienced anything like that in a theater. But then it just made a bunch of money. So the theaters were like, hey, let's just do it next weekend. It made double the money. So like, let's just keep going. And I think, didn't it have like an 8-week run? It was something crazy like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was in there for a lot longer than I think they anticipated.
Yeah, and it made a bunch of money for a budget. I think the budget was only like $500,000 or like $750,000,
right.
But it made like over $30 million.
Yeah.
And so I think theaters are like, wait, so you're telling me we can pay less to get more cheaper and independent films in the theater and people will actually watch them? What?
Yeah.
So
it's definitely, people are at a turning point with film now where it's like they want to see something weird and interesting when they go to the theater rather than
the same schlock.
Yeah, Ant-Man versus the Wasp 3 or whatever.
Yeah,
where
the
it's like
Quantum of Solace.
yeah. Dude, I was so depressed looking at showtimes for that movie and seeing like 60,000 a day. It's like taking up like 15 screens every day.
So many years ago, I think it was after I watched Infinity War, I took a vow I'm not going to give Disney any of my money. Unfortunately, because of how much I love my girlfriend, I'm breaking that vow this weekend. So I'm sure on the next episode, if you want to ask me about my opinion of Ant-Man versus the Wasp 2 Quantum of Solace, I will give you that opinion.
I love calling it Ant-Man versus the Wasp, by the way.
I think that is so fucking funny.
Yeah. That started, I heard Mike Stoklasa from Red Letter Media started saying that one time, and I was like, that sounds such like an old person stupid thing to say.
And it's so funny because aren't they like friends?
Yeah.
Isn't that the thing?
They're like husband and wife almost.
Oh, nice. Hell yeah. I mean, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm going for Greg Turkington.
That's how I'm framing it too. Yeah.
Let's face it. He saved the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He saved Phase 5 of Marvel or whatever. So, but much like Disney, let's talk about other horrors beyond human comprehension. Skinamarink.
Nice transition. I like it.
Thank you. So yeah, and I mean, this is so cheap. I was reading like the behind the scenes. They just rented cameras and equipment from like their local like I don't know what you call it, like library, a place where they rent out that kind of equipment, like university or whatever. And one thing that's cool, which I think adds effectiveness to the film, is he actually filmed it in his childhood home.
Oh,
which is really weird considering the movie is based on a nightmare he had in that same home.
Interesting. Okay.
And his nightmare was basically exactly what you saw. His parents disappeared one night. He couldn't escape the house, and there was some kind of entity or monster in the house, which is a dream that I feel like a lot of people have. When they're young.
And now that you mention that, it has a very dreamlike quality throughout the whole thing, where it does feel like it's never-ending nightmare.
This Kyle Edward Ball, he kind of got his start on YouTube actually, and his channel is based off of like I guess videos on nightmares. I didn't check it out. That's just what I was reading about his like biography. And basically his first, he made a a short film called Heck, which is basically a smaller version of Skinamarink. And he basically would ask in his videos like, hey, tell me your nightmares in the comments, and it was just kind of like a collection of them. So Skinamarink is very similar, and I can't believe I'm saying this, to House, the Japanese movie. House.
Oh, okay.
In the sense that basically the director, his daughter has writing credits in that movie because the entire movie he basically just asked her, "What are your nightmares?" And she would just tell him. And he's like, "Okay, I'm gonna make that a movie."
Oh wow, okay.
But rather than it being very fun, Kyle Ball said, "Let's make it very scary."
Okay.
Let's make you pee-pee yourself because it's a nightmare.
And the other cinematic classic that uses this form of storytelling is Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Elaborate.
Well, no, it's the same thing. It's Robert Rodriguez went to his son, and he was like, "Hey, buddy, want to help me write a movie?" And then his son came up with Shark Boy and Lava Girl.
Sure. Fuck it. We need more movies where just let kids write it.
Yes. We need a trilogy.
Give me a $200 million movie in the hands of a 5-year-old.
Yes.
I'm sure greatness will come of it. Just let him get the characters and the loose plot and then hire fucking David Fincher or something to just piece it all together and make a good narrative driven story.
Try to make it into a comprehensible movie.
Yes.
That would actually be really cool. I'm not going to lie.
That would be very funny.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people that I've been seeing, they're like, why is it called Skinamarink? And I was thinking that
That's
too.
what I
I'm
was
like,
wondering.
I was like, okay, I'm like, is the monster or entity or whatever it is that his name? Literally nothing to do with the movie. I looked it up. He said that it is based on a Canadian child song called Skinamarink. And the only reason the movie's called Skinamarink is he changed the D to an N because he didn't want children looking up this song and finding his movie.
Oh,
which
okay.
is actually very nice and considerate.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So, yeah, good on you.
Yeah, the guy. I read an article with the director of this briefly, and he seems like a really down to earth guy. And I liked a lot of what he was saying about horror, and how to execute it. And you could see in the film he knows what he's doing. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And it's cool because which is so bizarre. He said his main influence was Black Christmas.
Really?
In terms of the style.
Wow.
Simply because a lot of that movie is just hallways and shots of like furniture and stuff like that with nothing actually happening. But because of like it creates like suspense and tension because of like the implications that you have knowing like what's going on.
Right.
You know? Like there's a killer in the house. The characters don't know, and now you're just showing me this like 20-second shot of a hallway. That's kind of spooky.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
But I guess I was reading him and the cinematographer would be like, yeah, get the Black Christmas shot when they were like filming like the hallways and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Wow. That's interesting. That now that you mentioned the Black Christmas comparison, I can kind of see the inspiration there. We talked about Black Christmas on this show, and I had never seen it previously, and I love that movie. So now that you mention it, I could see a lot of those similarities.
Skinnamarink is a very less is more movie. And I think horror works really well with that mindset.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Just allow your audience to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, in the interview that I was reading, because when I watched this movie, it kept mentioning this, the name of this guy was like in memory of this dude, and it was like, and thanks to the family of this guy, or else this movie never would have been made. So I was like, what is up with that? What is that story? I thought at first it was like a movie based on a true story. Yeah. Maybe this is like someone actually died in real life. But I found out it's the guy's assistant director who was apparently with him from the very beginning, like even in the short film, he helped out with that. And he mysteriously, after filming the film and before they were able to release it, he passed away in 2021. They haven't publicly said why, but it's definitely seemed very sudden and tragic for everybody.
Okay.
So yeah, and then he had this whole interesting story about how he had to come to terms with his friend's death and like be like, he would have wanted this movie released. I should continue and finish this. Oh, okay. Because we finished the whole thing. It's all shot. And it was like it's a kind of a wholesome story. And one thing that I thought was kind of interesting is that when the guy passed away, he had all of the audio for the film on his laptop. So and it was with his family, obviously. So he was like, "Wow, okay, so all the audio for the film was on that laptop. So now I gotta find some way of being." Without seeming like that's all I want.
Inconsiderate, yeah.
Yeah, and try to get that and so he can finish the movie because he wanted to use the audio that he was involved with.
Right.
Because if he just made new audio, that he said that would have been disrespectful to his memory.
Yeah. Because he made it, yeah.
Right, yeah, and he was like, I want to use that audio because that's what we worked on together. So it was like, it's a very cool story and
that's nice.
Really seems like a labor of love.
Yeah, this
for sure
feels like a passion project for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually did watch the short film.
Oh, you did? How was it?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it more than the actual movie. I will say that.
Is it one of those things where it's like, well, like I said earlier, less is more? Where it's just shorter, condensed is better than long and stretched out?
Yeah, it had all of the same kind of beats and a lot of the same imagery, but it was like a condensed version of it. And for me, it was easier to tell what was going on in it as well, because it wasn't made with like an experimental cinematography.
Gotcha.
To it, not as much. It felt more like a YouTube video quality type thing, if that makes any sense.
Like a cursed video?
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. And that kind of almost made it more creepy to me. But I'm also a fan of like weird, creepy YouTube videos that come out of nowhere. So that could just be me, you know.
Okay, I'll have to check it out. I was debating on watching it.
Yeah, no, it's pretty cool. It's like it's almost the same thing as the movie, just with some slight changes here and there.
Okay. Well, let's segue into the main subject.
Yes.
Skinamarink. Now, I don't know if we necessarily need to say spoilers, because I think the entire plot of this movie is up for interpretation.
Yeah.
But I will say, if you don't want some of the scares spoiled for you, because I think we will be talking about that. But honestly, like, I don't think there's much really to spoil. Because this is definitely more of a movie you feel rather than watch.
Yeah. This movie is like dread personified.
This movie is every fear I had as a 90s kid into one movie.
That's fair too, yeah.
And I'm actually very curious, and I'll let you know, because I told my dad, because my dad was asking me like, oh, like I heard this movie and I saw it's on Shudder, like what is it? I'm like, I haven't watched it yet, but like I'll let you know how it is. And I told him it's good and he should watch it. So I'm curious if he will think it is as scary as we do, because this is definitely a 90s kid movie.
I could see that. Yeah, for sure.
So I'm interested in like the different ages and how they feel about it.
See how they react.
Yeah. But I'll start off by saying my thoughts. I don't think it's a perfect movie. However, I think it's really good. And I'll give my reasons why. I've said countless times in these episodes, I like movies that do something new and that I've never seen before. That is majority of this movie.
Yes.
I did not think you could make a feature-length film out of just still shots of hallways, but here we are. The man did it, and I will tell you, there was not a single moment I wasn't like glued to the screen.
Okay.
My other reason is that we're horror guys. You know, we just watch horror movies because we like it and it's fun. And I know that my interpretation of a scary movie is different than other people's. You know what I mean? Like, just this week we were like, me and my girlfriend were looking for a movie to watch. And I was like, oh, like we could watch this, and this. And she's like, I don't want to watch anything scary. And I was like, what? You know? They were all horror movies, but I was like, they're not like scary. Like they're not horror. Like, you know, like to my brain was like, those aren't scary, you know?
Right.
But I'm like, oh, to a normal person, that's probably scary.
Yeah.
So my tolerance for like scares are pretty high just because I watch so much. So the other reason why I like this movie so much is because there's only 4 movies that have scared me in my life. Pulse, the Japanese one, not the shitty American remake. Mulholland Drive, specifically one scene, and you know the scene later towards the end. Even rewatching it now, I'm like filled with dread, even though I've seen it many times. And the third one is Lake Mungo.
Yeah. That's one for me.
You were the one that told me to watch it.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck, when I watched it. And the fourth one is Skinamarink.
Okay.
So,
wow.
This is one of the few movies that genuinely scared me. The last 15 minutes. You have to watch this movie alone in the dark. Like, it's essential.
Yeah.
That's
Absolutely.
how I watched it. The last 15 minutes, my entire body had goosebumps. like my hair raised. Like, I'm not even scared about sounding like a little baby right now. Mm-hmm. Like, I will admit, as a grown man, that this movie freaked me out. And it could just be even as a kid, and I think most kids do, the dark is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
As a kid, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, having to pee, and it seemed like that walk from the hallway to the bathroom at night was the scariest thing ever. And I would have to run. I would stop. I'd look down the hallway, make sure there's no creatures in the dark, and I would run and turn that light on as fast as possible.
Oh, absolutely. And you'd be lucky if you had a night light in the hallway or something.
Yes. See, my problem was the light switch for the hallway wasn't near my room. So I
see.
And another thing is back now we have the luxury of having TVs in every room. But back then we didn't. So I would stay up late on weekends, Friday, Saturday nights, playing games down in the living room. My parents were already in bed. So when I was done, I had to turn off all the lights and get up to my room. And that was scary.
Dang, yeah. No, that's terrifying.
That's really scary. And this was before phones, so I didn't even have a phone flashlight or anything. And I'm a little kid. Mm-hmm. So that's what Skinamarink is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I was gonna say, as an adult, you can rule out the irrational, right? Obviously there's no monsters. Obviously there's nothing trying to kill me in the home that I live in. However, there's always that childlike fantasy in the back of your head where I'm always scared. I turn off the lights, I look down the hallway, maybe I see eyes,
Okay.
Maybe I see a face. That's just, I don't care who you are, that is always in the back of your head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember even going from dark hallways and being just about to get back into the room to safety in quotation marks.
Yes.
And running the last part of it, just jumping into your bed.
Jump in and close that door really quick.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It's a weird thing where it's I would almost describe it as suburban horror.
Yeah.
Because you're just inside this suburban house, and there's something really scary about the inside of a suburban house at night that's kind of indescribable.
It's very cursed.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many things in this movie that resonates with me, and things we talked in the Black Christmas episode. You talked about something about at night when a Christmas tree is on and that's the only light source is kind of creepy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And
yeah.
I could not tell you for the life of me why, but I fully understand that statement. And that is a lot of this movie, is stuff that you always are just kind of creeped out about.
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I wouldn't call it it's very similar to why liminal spaces are scary.
Mm-hmm.
Liminal spaces,
Yeah.
Because this is this house is very lived in, but it's that kind of aura to it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Twitter account I follow called Mythos America, and it's like that. It's pictures of just suburban America that are just very, I don't know, uncanny.
Okay.
You know what? I would describe Skinamarink as nostalgia horror.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
No, that makes
nostalgia,
perfect sense.
Stranger Things set in the 80s. Remember pinball? Whoa. It is just from a dude who was a 90s kid that was how can I take all of these childhood fears and put them in a movie, and not so much plot wise, but just through feeling alone.
Mm-hmm.
and it works.
Yeah, it's very much a feeling type movie because there's not much of a plot going on, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. I think for some people it can be, which I think is why we've seen such polarizing reactions to this movie. Because it's very, like, you love it or you hate it.
A lot of the reviews are like, this is boring. Nothing happens.
Right,
and I know we make that joke a lot whenever we watch, like more of, like, an artsy movie, because you always see those reviews like, oh, nothing happened. What the heck? And that's funny because, like, no, if you were paying attention to the movie, clearly there was a beginning, middle, and end, character arcs, all that stuff. Skinamarink, I'm okay with you saying that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, this is the one time, like, you can get away with going, nothing happened, and that's why I didn't like it. I'd be like, yeah, okay. That's fair. That's perfectly okay.
I was almost comparing it to Mad God. Like, kind of while I was watching it, because Mad God is very visual based.
Yes.
It's all about the visuals, really, and there's not much story. It's really just an excuse to have a bunch of visuals kind of string together that look interesting.
Yeah. And you can somewhat piece together a plot or a story.
Yeah, and I feel like this Skinnamarink is very in that same
similar
vein.
Yes.
Where, like, there's like a very loose story going on, but it's mostly about the visuals and the crafting of them, and I think that part of it is very, very successful. Like,
yes.
There wasn't a moment in this movie where I was like, I wasn't, like, terrified, like, crawling out of my skin, like, feeling, like, so anxious and just, like, creeped out.
And that's the genius behind a lot of the cinematography, is not a single frame feels safe.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there's never once you can relax. Mm-hmm. From even before they get Skinamarinked. Like, when the kids are just, like, playing, and the dad's there, you still have this, like, dread.
Yeah. I think one thing that really helps that I noticed very early on is not showing anyone's face.
Yes.
Especially the kids, who are basically the main characters.
You only really see, like, their feet and hands. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing is in frame.
No.
This is like the opposite of a Wes Anderson movie. Like, you see the corners of things. Yes. You see, like, the feet of furniture.
And when you see things full on, it's meant to terrify you.
Yes, when you see something full on, you're like, this is weird and I don't like it, and this thing they're showing me is scary.
Yes. It's like not being able to, because, like, you know, like the face is a portal into someone's soul, for really. It's like to not have, for the movie to not give you that human connection, where it's almost like a relief for that to happen, where you can look into someone's face and relate to what they're going through. Yeah. And, like, and not having that comfort, I guess you would call it, is, like, it really adds to the creepiness of it, and it makes you it makes it very dreamlike and just really, really creepy beyond explanation.
And I think that also allows you to project yourself more onto the characters.
That's true, yeah.
Because you really do feel in their shoes, especially when it goes to the shots of, like, the kids, like, walking through the halls and stuff. And one thing I think is very interesting is the choice of the kids in this movie and their age, specifically of being 5. Because I feel like at the age of 5, you are old enough to function without an adult, relatively. Like, obviously you can't, like, fucking cook a steak. But but you could, like, you know, open the pantry and eat some cereal. You know, you can go to the bathroom by yourself. You can technically function without an adult, but you're still at that age where you think, like, SpongeBob is real, you know? So, like, when weird shit happens, you, like, okay, this is normal because nothing in the world has told me otherwise. You know? You're at that age where fantasy can still be real. So, if I see a monster, I don't go, oh, that's a scary monster because I've never seen anything like it. You just go, oh, okay, this is happening, and the kids go with it. Like, I think if it was obviously it was an adult, this would be a totally different movie. It would just be them trying to get out of a house.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Even if it was like a 10-year-old, different movie. But the fact that they're like 5 and the kids are just going with it.
Yes.
I would be like, holy shit, where are my parents? Why are there no windows? What the fuck? I'd be freaking out, right? These kids are just like, where's dad? And they're like, I don't know. Do we watch TV? Okay. You know? They just play with Legos. They're like,
it's like
I think we need to wake up. Yeah, it's just like, they're just being kids. Like, they don't understand that the situation they're in is not normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's they're too young to even understand what's going on. That's part of what makes it so creepy and scary to watch.
Yes.
Now, I was also thinking of another subconscious thing that I think works really well for the movie is the use of like filters and like the noise effect they're using to make it look like kind of old, and it almost makes it look like archival footage.
Like, they're not really going for the found footage feel.
No, yeah, because it's not really a found footage film.
Yeah. It looks like a found footage movie if you watch like the trailer and see like the promotional stuff, but it's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And I think that helps give it this feeling of like you're watching something has already happened.
Yes,
so and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yes. I like when I'm watching a movie and it feels like I'm watching something I shouldn't be watching.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like a lot of horror movies now are like, it's about putting yourself in the character's shoes and thinking about what I would do to get out of the situation. And it feels very in the like moment, in like present, like Scream, like Halloween. But like this is like when you have something like this that feels like it's already taken place. It feels like you're like strapped in. There's nothing you can do about it. Like this horror that you're watching is happening no matter what. Like you can't
just have
think
to
your way out of
all
it.
the dread.
Yes, it's a very cool, very creepy feeling.
And I was reading about their choice of using subtitles.
Oh, okay.
And he was saying he wanted to give it, he called it analog horror feel, which is like the idea of kind of like found footage, but it's kind of like what you're touching on, like the idea you're watching something like kind of like uploaded mysteriously, you know?
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be watching this thing. Like this was archived and now you found it and you're watching it.
Yeah.
But he really liked that vibe of having the characters talking, but so soft. You can't actually understand what they're saying without subtitles.
Yeah.
And it works extremely well.
Oh, God, yeah.
Because the movie's not loud at all either.
No.
Except maybe like one scare.
It is loud at certain points. Like when the kids scream.
Yeah, that's
like
true.
Pretty ear-splitting.
But I'm just saying, like, overall, it's like a very, like, quiet, somber movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, one line that really fucked me up was towards the end, the kid asks whatever was the entity, monster, ghost, whatever you want to call it. He just asks him, can we watch something happy now?
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, that fucked me up. Because it's incredibly creepy.
Yeah.
Because at that point, you know that the entity or whatever has, like, full control of this kid, and the kid's just like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. There's so much stuff. Okay, so before we get, because I do want to talk about a lot of the specific scenes.
Okay.
But I do want to talk about maybe somewhat of our interpretations.
Okay.
So the main one, thematically, my main takeaway is I feel like it is about child abuse. Because the only bit of character stuff we're given is that the parents are divorced. Because in the beginning, when the kid falls down the stairs, he's like talking to the wife or ex-wife or the mom, whoever, and he's explaining like, oh, you know, we went to the hospital, he's fine, he didn't need that many stitches. And it's like, obviously, like, if the mom was at home, he wouldn't be having that conversation, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then there's a scene shortly after the Skinnamarink happens, and the kids turn on the TV, and I think the boy says, like, where do you think mom and dad went? And the girl just goes, I don't want to talk about mom. Which I thought was very interesting.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe the mother is abusive, maybe the father's abusive. I don't know. But it's basically these kids that essentially are trapped in a prison of their own home. You know?
Yeah.
Which is something a child would feel like if they were abused by their parents, because they can't escape it. It's their home. So I feel like that's the main theme of the film.
Yeah, I agree. I think I got that even very early on when the dad at the very beginning, before anything weird is happening, he's talking on the phone to someone on the phone, and he's saying like, oh yeah, he just fell down the stairs. He's okay, but he fell down the stairs and hit his head. It's like that's a very common excuse for abuse. Yeah. When like the parents are trying to explain an injury to someone else, and like why the kid is injured. So yeah, I was getting the same kind of vibes, the abuse theme vibes from it.
Right. Now, my plot interpretation is what the fuck it's about. Well, first of all, I want to talk about how this movie just turns into cosmic horror. And it rules. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. I love cosmic horror. Because towards the end, we get like a fucking like time jump of like 572 days. I assume that's what it meant.
Yeah.
That's how long the kid's been in there. How time works in the Skinamarink house, I don't know. You know, maybe it's like the Black Lodge. You know, it could be that many days, but it's actually like however many years, or the opposite, where it's been an hour, but it feels like it is like 300 days. I don't know. But there's that shot of like the house just in the middle of openness, just nothing. So it's almost, all right, here we go. Another episode where we mention Twin Peaks.
It's inevitable. I was going to mention it earlier when you were mentioning things that genuinely scared you.
Yes.
And I agreed with like almost everything you said. I would add Sleepaway Camp and then part 18 of Twin Peaks: The Return.
Oh, yeah.
Just because of how existentially horrifying that whole ending is.
She can scream.
Yeah, she screams.
Cosmic horror, man. It's just okay. Caught myself. Twin Peaks. Yeah. Twin Peaks get too many gears turning in my head. So my maybe interpretation. I have talked to you about this. Now, none of my theories in Twin Peaks, they always change. They always kind of like, ooh, I put more pieces together. But I believe that the like Red Room, Lodge entities, all that are existing in our world, however, on a different plane of existence. The one, you know how like we can, like electricity moves, shit like that. It's on a different plane. Something that we can't see. Which Twin Peaks kind of hints at that a lot with electricity.
Yeah,
transporting through like the outlets and shit like that. So I think maybe this entity or whatever is working on that plane and is somehow pulling this house, the kids, whatever it is, into almost like one of those like little pockets, like the Red Room and Black Lodge and shit like that.
Yeah. I got that same impression as well. It's like an alternate world It's just like slightly different from our own.
So like, and again, I don't even want to get into in the reality. Are those kids going through that? Like, like is this house just fine and all this shit is going on inside, but like is perfectly fine on the outside? You know what I mean? Did the house
that doesn't matter.
Pulled? It doesn't matter. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
If you were to compare whatever the entity is, it would almost be like a Philip Jeffries or the Arm or something like that. Just a sadistic weirdo in a different dimension. Now,
I would say I would almost say it's like Judy, because
Judy. Boom. There you go.
Something just like incomprehensibly evil.
Yes.
That's just like a force of nature. You can't stop it. Like it's always there.
No matter what.
Yeah.
So one thing, now we're gonna get kind of maybe into schlock territory here.
Oh God. Okay.
One thing that dialogue I thought was very interesting is when Kaylee goes upstairs. And there's an incredibly scary scene where she sees her dad sitting at the edge of one side of the bed.
Oh, God.
She goes up to him, and you only see like his pajama pants and feet, and he's like, "Look under the bed." So she's like, "Okay." Looks under the bed. There's nothing there. You know, we got tricked because it's always there's something under the bed. You know, and she looks up. He's gone, but her mom's on the other side of the bed. Now, one thing that I think is weird, and this is the interpretation I was getting kind of like on my first watch of this. The mom seemed pretty chill. She was like, "Kaylee, just do what I say." You know, almost like she knows what's going on. And there's specifically that line where she's like, "I want you to know that your father and I love you very much."
Yeah.
She's like, "Now close your eyes." Is that the entity manifesting itself as the parents? I don't know. Is that the parents that have gotten taken away? I don't know. Schlock territory. Did the parents know about this entity and they've been fucking around with it?
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah.
Maybe there's some kind of paranormal scientists.
Oh, my God.
And that's why they bought the house.
Sex magic.
But all of that's stupid and doesn't matter. However, just that scene gave me a little hinkling at, I feel like the parents, at least the mom, knows something's up.
They might know something. I think that's fair to say.
Or it could very much be they were pulled into that dimension, and because they're adults, they're comprehending it maybe a bit more. And again, we don't know what the time is like in that dimension. They could have been in there for 100 years, you know? But that scene is scary. That scene's very scary. and that's like the first, I feel, scare of the movie. So that's my kind of interpretation, you could say, I guess, of the film.
Okay.
I mean, definitely child abuse is kind of the main theme. Everything else, and this is the first time, like, I would say just, it doesn't matter. Like, nothing, like, trying to piece together, I've said this many times, I hate those videos, like, the ending explained.
Oh, God, yeah.
Like, annihilation, ending explained, just what the heck happened? You know, because I think it undermines your own interpretation, right? Say I think Skinamarink, this was about this, and then some schlub on YouTube tells me, actually, because I've paused the frame at this second, you can see here we're piecing this all together. Skinamarink is actually about World War II. And then I'm like, oh, okay, my own feelings that I had while watching the film that then I interpreted using my brain to comprehend it and then take my own meaning away is now gone. Because this guy says it's about this thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I don't like those videos. So...
No, and that's part of the enjoyment of watching something like this, is just figuring it out for yourself and having your own interpretation of it.
Yes.
That's like
I would absolutely lose my mind at watching those videos of Skinamarink explained. Because the whole point is not to explain it. There's nothing to explain. I don't know what you would explain. like genuinely.
No, and you're kind of ruining it for yourself if you're thinking about it in that way.
Yes.
If you think about it as like some kind of like, there's some hidden story here that you just have to figure out. It's not that. It's really just, it's a very visually like motivated movie. It's all about the creepy visuals, and it does all of that extremely well.
Yes.
And I think if you're a person who likes a scripted plot like that, you're not going to find that. Even if you look up all these videos of it being explained, it's just not there.
Anyone who's making an ending explained video is stretching.
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
For sure.
I saw some weird ass theory that at the end, the entity made the kid stab himself in the eye.
Oh my god.
And I was like, what? Where the hell was that in the movie? I get there's blood on the ceiling at the end.
Earlier in the movie, he goes, I want you to take a knife to your eye.
Oh, that was earlier?
Yeah, but I never got the interpretation that the kid went along, because even in the end, the kid's talking.
Yeah. No, that's what I was thinking. Like, there's nothing in the movie to indicate that. It seems like it's all just made up.
Yeah.
I mean, other than that line, I guess.
Again, this is just your fears visualized.
Mm-hmm.
More of like what fear feels like. More so than a story.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I want to talk about is this fucking entity. What? What the hell is the deal with this guy?
His name is John.
His name's John. Dude, at the end, when he's like, what's your name? What's your name? I was like, I would lose my mind if he just goes, Skinamarink. It's like the ending of Star Wars. I'm John Skinamarink.
Yeah, John Skinnamarink.
But okay,
that'd be awesome.
So we know that the entity controls this house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He blips things in and out of existence. There's even like a funny bit when the kid's like, hey, look, and the toilet like disappears.
Mm-hmm.
And then they like throw buckets and one of the kids is like, gross. Like, that's funny. Maybe the only nice part of the movie is laughing at a kid pooping in a bucket.
Yeah, right.
But he likes to fuck with them, put chairs on the ceiling. Sometimes maybe he'll flip a room upside down. Stuff like that.
Know.
Take away their Legos. Yeah. Possess a Fisher-Price phone. But we learn maybe like halfway through the movie that you got to do what he says. Because Kaylee didn't do what he said. And he tells the boy, Kevin, because she didn't do what he said, he took her mouth away. Which is one of the few scenes we actually see of someone's face, except she doesn't have a mouth.
Yeah.
Which is incredibly creepy.
Oh, God, yeah. He comes out of nowhere, too. Like, whoa, what the fuck? And it comes with a very loud sound as well.
I also want to talk about a genius scare. Okay. Mm-hmm. I don't like jump scares. All right. I think they're dumb. However, I think they can be done right. And this one is done really good. It's when the kid later in the movie, he has his flashlight and he's going through the house, and they do that thing where, it's a common thing in horror movies when it's dark. Maybe they have a Polaroid camera and they take a picture so they get a quick flash,
Oh, sure.
And they do that a couple times until eventually that flash is a face or a monster or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This one, the kid's going into a room, he turns the flashlight on, turns it off. Does that like 4 times. And you're like, okay, when he's going to hit that button, the monster's going to be there. Something's going to be there, Turns the flashlight on, nothing. Turns it off. Cut to the next frame. Before the flashlight's even turned on, you see the eyes of that fucking Fisher-Price phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's genius.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, because you expect it to be the light.
Mm-hmm.
And then he turns it on, and it's that creepy phone, and then of course it rings and its eyes turn to him.
Oh god. Yeah, it's scary as fuck. That was the one moment that really, really got me.
Once Kaylee disappears, that's when it is just 20 minutes of just nightmare fuel.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Especially one thing that I really like, and again, playing into the 90s kid fears. I don't know about you, but I always liked when I was a kid sleeping with the TV on.
Yes.
I was luckily fortunate enough at somewhat of a younger age. I had a TV in my room because I remember we got a new like living room TV and my parents already had one in their room. So I just got that TV. So I was like, cool.
Nice.
TV in my room. I don't know. I was maybe like 8, 9, something like that. But like on weekends, I'd stay up late. And because it was so late, I didn't like how quiet the house was. Mm-hmm. So I would turn on the TV. And when the TV was on, it gave me light and I felt safe, right? Mm-hmm. And throughout the movies, these kids keep the TV on for that same reason, you assume.
Right.
So the TV is like signifies safety, right? Living room, Legos. TV's on, they're safe. That's how kids' brains work. You have a constant light source and you can't hear the scary noises. So that means no monster can get you. Right? Then throughout like later in the film, maybe the second half, we slowly start to see the TV glitch. Specifically at that part, there's like a bit of one of those old cartoony characters, and he like grabs the top of his head and his feet and like closes himself till he just disappears.
Oh god, yeah.
Which is very similar to all the stuff just disappearing. And how it would, and that just replays. So then that's when you go, oh no, John Skinamarink has control of the TV, the one beacon of light in Kevin's little life.
The one place of comfort and safety.
Yeah, literally, he unkindled the last bonfire. If this was Dark Souls.
Oh god.
But yeah, and then shortly after, we see the TV slowly just boom. Turn off. And that's when we as an audience know he's fucked, right? Gone. That kid is about to be decimated. All right. And it's shortly after that is when the entity like talks to him, like for the first time, like one-on-one.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And he tells them to like, hey, go upstairs. And it's so scary because we never see the entity. Maybe
no,
at the end, whatever that was. But
yeah, I don't know what the fuck that was. All that was like the scariest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, it was only just the scariest thing that my eyes have ever comprehended. But so yeah, so the entity just has like full control basically of Kevin, and he tells him, hey, you don't do what I say, I will take you away like your sister. And I'll take your mouth away or do worse, whatever. And that's when the kid goes upstairs. And this is where it goes into cosmic horror. Because he goes into the bedroom and like we see that shot like back of the door to the hallway, and he just gets slowly like farther back. Like, and it's like, okay, it's illogical how far he is, you know, from the door.
Right.
And then we see that shot of the hallway where all the Legos are on the ceiling. And then that shot keeps getting pulled back and back and back.
Oh, yeah. And it's like that super fucking long hallway.
Yeah. So it's like an infinite hallway.
Right.
And then we get...
It's dream logic.
Yeah, exactly. And then we get that shot of the house in just the abyss. It reminded me a lot of the end of the Lucio Fulci film Beyond, which you should definitely watch. Maybe we'll review that movie sometime.
We should,
because that's one of my favorite horror movies. But it very similar to the end of the Beyond, of just nothingness, just the Beyond. It's like believe it or not, it's like that SpongeBob episode where Squidward eats all the Krabby Patties and explodes. And he's in that room, that white. It's just nothingness. You know what I mean? He's like running around. Yeah. It's literally that.
You.
And that's scary.
SpongeBob was like the ultimate form of surreal humor and horror.
Yes. Believe it or not, SpongeBob Skinamarink Squidward. So.
You're not wrong.
You want to get Skinamarink Squidward?
Oh, God.
It sounded more like Peter Griffin.
Yeah, that did sound like Peter Griffin.
Could you imagine like a little like takeaway gig at Family Guy? He's like, that's like that time I got Skinamarinked. It's just Peter. It's Peter in the home. There's no windows.
That needs to be a video that we make. Family Guy gets Skinamarinked.
Peter Griffin gets Skinamarinked.
Yeah. That'd be awesome.
Hell yeah. There's so much meme potential with Skinamarink.
It really is.
It's so funny. And
I haven't seen much of the conversation around this film online yet, really. So like just hearing you say all these different fucking memes that have come out about it, it just sounds hilarious.
Twitter loves it.
Yeah, I bet.
And I think it's really nice because I think this movie is terrifying, and I don't know about you, but I use humor to cope and handle difficult emotions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's very nice that you can joke a lot about this movie. I saw one, possibly my favorite one because it's so subtle. It's just a guy taking a picture, and he's just like, finally watching Skinamarink, and the picture is like, all you see is maybe the top inch of his TV. And it's just like the back of like the wall up to like the ceiling, so it's like basically every shot of Skinamarink. But no, yeah, Skinamarink has a weird place in the online world, but I'm so glad there's no like hate. Like there's a lot of people that don't like it, but no one's going like, this movie's stupid and you're stupid if you like it, you know?
Yeah, I'm happy about that because I feel like objectively speaking, this is very successful at what it's trying to do, I think.
Yes.
And I think it really just comes down to personal preference whether or not you like it. Because I highly doubt that if anyone could sit down and watch this movie and feel anxious and dreadful and like just like overall just like feeling like you're in a nightmare. Yes. And I feel like that's what it's trying to accomplish. I mean, you might not like it. I think one of the major drawbacks of this for me was I think it's too long, which is why I kind of said earlier that I like the short film better. The short, yeah, because I felt like it. A lot of times it just felt like shots of like hallways, and it was like kind of boring at a certain point. But like when scary shit happened, I was like, "Oh my god, that's the most terrifying thing I've ever seen!" Like the phone reveal, and then the very end with that face coming out of the pitch black.
We're gonna talk about the face.
Yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah, so I understand. Like I said, I understand of every con this movie has that people don't like about it.
Yeah.
My only complaint with it is the film grain sometimes gets so insane. Where, especially when it first started, I kind of warmed up to it later. But, you know, most people put film grain to do two things. One, simulate film. Maybe they shot it on digital and they want it to look like film. You're never going to get that effect of film with a film grain.
Yeah.
In this case, that's not why they're using it. The other one is to establish time period. Because film grain was very prominent on film. However, I feel like the film grain is so insane on this movie. Like, I saw one meme, it's like me watching Skinamarink, and it's that, you know, that lady where she's like kind of hunched over and she's like squinting with the glasses.
Oh yeah,
it's like that.
Yeah, it's like when you show your mom a meme on your phone.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I get you.
So I warmed up to it and I didn't mind it towards the end, but the beginning I'm like, I don't think any just camera you could buy at Best Buy even had that bad of film grain on it.
No.
You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't mind that at all. I actually thought that was kind of cool. It's overdone, but I think intentionally, because it's like It's almost like found footage, but like not quite.
But it's not. Just, like you said, I'm warming up on it because, like you said, it feels almost like archived footage.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm warming up to it. So you may be turning this into a 5-bagger for me.
Well, here, this is another opinion I have about the film grain as well, because I think it really helps with the suspense part of it, where like you're looking at like a pitch black frame and like you kind of see shapes in the darkness, like maybe you're looking at a wall and there's things on the wall. There were a
lot of times where I swear I saw something, not like a face or eyes, just a shape. And I'm like, is that intentional or is that just my mind?
No, that's one of the things I think the film grain helps with, because especially when you're looking at like when it shows like the doll on the ceiling, and like the film grain is happening, you're like, oh shit, did I just see its arm move? And you're not sure if you did or not. And I think am I seeing something moving in the darkness? And the film grain, because it's like a noise filter all over the place, it looks like it's constantly moving. It really helps to add that uneasy feeling where you're never sure if something is there or not, because you kind of see something moving, you're not sure if you do. And I think that kind of is really smart play, and it works because the movie's so dark. Like all you end up seeing is that film grain at certain points.
Yeah, sometimes you're just looking at a film grain effect.
Yeah, exactly.
Literally, the final shot is almost that.
I know, and I love the final shot because it's the whole movie. You're looking at pitch black, and nothing ever really comes of that. Like nothing
ever pops out at you, really.
Right? Yeah.
Anything that scares you is already in frame.
Yeah.
The only time that doesn't is when Kaylee's in the room, and that thing, I think it's an arm. I don't know what it was, but it comes out of the closet.
Oh God!
And it's like really quick, and then we move on to the next scene.
Yeah. It's messed up.
The other one that got me is the blood splatter towards the end. Around the corner, just a blood splatter, and then it reverses, because the first time it does it, it's like a scream, like you could say like a child's scream. So you could interpret that as that's one of the kids. I was thinking maybe it was Kaylee when she got grabbed.
Oh yeah, that could be.
But it will like reverse. And then it blood splats again. And then there's another screen, and then it reverses. But then it does it like 4 times. But by the end, it's a laugh. It's like a child's laughter.
Yeah. It sounded like that to me, too. I thought I was crazy, honestly.
Yeah, because it goes from screaming to like laughter. Now, and I'm literally, me describing this scene, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, just rethinking it. Yeah. And I know there's going to be guys like, oh, you guys are pussies. You can't handle this. This isn't scary. But if you watch this movie and you tell me I was not scared once, I will not believe you. You know?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
I
it's
will
so
understand. You're like, oh,
terrifying.
It's not as scary as people said. But like, no. Like you have to at least feel some level of dread and suspense.
Oh, absolutely.
I think, I'm calling it right now, due to the kind of word of mouth and how relatively popular it's gotten. You know how there's like, I don't really know how to describe them, but they're sleepover horror movies, you know? Like Blair Witch was one for a long time. Like a movie you watch, I mean, typically it's like teenage girls. But like movies you watch, you're like, someone's like, oh, this movie's so scary. You know, they're at a sleepover. Let's watch it. I think Skinamarink is going to be one of those movies.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
Especially for like a younger generation who is already into shit like cryptids and ARGs and all that.
Oh, yeah, I definitely think if you like that whole creepy pasta scene, like
cursed videos.
You will love this movie. It's definitely right up your alley.
This is a movie that Casey from We're All Going to the World's Fair would watch on her YouTube channel.
I was thinking that. Yeah.
I feel like there's this new genre of movies, and I don't exactly know what to call it, but I mean, Skinamarink falls into like nostalgic horror. I guess that's what I'm calling it. But it's like these movies that kind of you have to be in the know of like the internet horror to kind of like fully understand and like grasp it. Like Everything Everywhere. Oh my God, did I just say Everything Everywhere all at once?
You started to say that, yeah.
I started to say that. I was going to say We're All Going to the World's Fair. And I'm not talking about movies like Slender, or like Tall Man, where they're just like about cryptids and internet stories, but like more just like I don't really know how to describe it because it's so new. But like within the last year, like I would lump We're All Going to the World's Fair and this movie in the same category.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like an emerging genre.
Yes.
Honestly.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to explain that. And like I would put like Pulse in this genre too.
Okay. I haven't seen that yet.
That we're gonna talk about it eventually.
Okay.
Because that movie's fucking scary. But that is essentially kind of the idea. It's very almost Cronenberg-y, because that movie came out when the internet was really big, or it just started coming out. 'Cause it came out I think like 2000, 2001. So the internet's new. The idea that you can contact anyone from anywhere at any time is a new thing. Holy crap, this is crazy technology. Imagine what you can do with that technology. But what if we transcend because we've opened this dimension, So what if instead of just the internet cyberspace being like, oh, kind of this technology that we use like to send stuff, what if we're like basically opening a can of worms to another dimension? And I'm not talking the sense of like Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase, where it's like the internet's like a real thing you can go into. I'm talking like our like beings transcending into the next age.
Sure.
And while that sounds like, oh, that's pretty cool, like the future, it's like, no, to like an empty realm of existence where we just kind of stand around, We will do Pulse eventually.
Okay, that sounds awesome.
But so let's talk about the ending, and that's how we're gonna end it off.
Sure.
Because holy shit, that ending.
Isn't that one line of dialogue where he says, "Can we watch something happy now?"
Yeah.
That's that's near the ending.
That's towards the end. That's like when he has full control, and we know it's 572 days, 400 whatever days.
Yeah. So the kid has been. Oh, another interesting thing. In the short film, they do that same thing where the text pops up and says however many days, but they call it sleeps.
Oh.
So it's like 6,000 sleeps. Like it's kind of I like that almost better than just saying days, because it's like a very kid-ish thing to
like
say.
Your sleeps. You don't think of days,
right? Yeah. Like we're gonna go to grandma's house. You just have to wait 4 more sleeps, sweetie. It's like,
right.
It's very like kind of cute and kiddish, and it makes it scarier.
Yeah, I mean, this whole movie is from a kid's perspective.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But for those that don't know, the Skinnamarink ending. Guarantee you, if you go to Google Images right now and you look up Skinamarink, that ending final shot is going to be the first thing that comes up.
Oh yeah,
it's like the most iconic thing.
Yeah.
Basically, all it is a black with static and a face. I don't know how to describe the face. It's like a person, but it's not. And there's no really predominant facial features.
No.
Like I don't know how to describe it, but it slowly appears. and he just mutters the words. He just goes, "Go to sleep." And that sent me. I was like, "Oh my god." That like the hairs are raising just recalling that.
Yeah.
On me.
It's gonna be hard to not forget that final image.
Yes, and the kid just asks, "What's your name?" And he doesn't say anything.
Yeah,
and he's like, "What's your name?" And doesn't say anything. Just the end. It's like, oh my god, dude.
Yeah, it's very awesome. That's another example where the film grain works really well.
Yes,
you can barely see the face, and the film grain constantly moving. You can never tell what kind of expression the face has. It's like it has no defining features about it, but it looks vaguely like a face.
I'm gonna be brave, and I'm looking it up. Oh, fuck me. Yeah, it's like, it's almost like if you take a mannequin and you just give it a little more detail, but don't give it like characteristics.
Yeah.
Fuck, I'm looking at it right now and I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
It looks so scary. It's just the worst. It's the worst.
Fuck me. It's like the scariest thing in the movie, and
I'm looking it up right now too, and I just can't comprehend it.
Like, I'm trying to describe it.
Yeah. It is so scary.
Like, I will just tell you, like, I think even if everything we said, like, you're not a fan of this, I would say try it. If you're not vibing with it, turn it off. But I think it is worth it if you are just want to get scared.
Yeah, I mean, if it watch the short film as well. It's like, if you don't want to watch a whole hour and a half of it, it's a condensed version of the movie, and I think it's more successful because of that. It has a lot of the same imagery as well.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna watch it for sure.
Yeah, I would recommend it. It's very good as well.
Yeah. So I just want to say I'm so glad that you also thought it was scary, because all today I was like, fuck, what if he thinks it's not scary and it's stupid? And then I'm just here peeing myself. And you're like, bro, that wasn't even, this movie sucks.
Oh my god.
It's not even scary. And I was like, oh god. So I'm glad you were equally as scared.
No, I was. I think my problem with it is just really how it's overly long. But I think it's very successful at what it's doing.
Yes.
For sure.
I agree. And you can watch it on Shudder, because it's a Shudder exclusive, I believe. I know they like funded it or whatever, and that's why it got like a theatrical release.
Okay, cool.
So it's on Shudder. Watch it so you can get on the hype. Jump in on the news.
And please keep putting weirdo movies like this in theaters.
Yes, please. Just if you say this movie's stupid and no one's gonna watch it, put it in a theater. That's what I'm asking. An audience
for everything.
Of those 70-year-old white executives at all those film companies, just if you think the movie's garbage, then it's probably decent. Put it in a theater. You know?
Yeah.
Give it a weekend. Honestly, do what Terrifier did. Give it a weekend. See what happens.
Yeah, no. You know? Instead of maybe having 20 screenings of Ant-Man versus the Wasp in one day, maybe cut it down to 15 and then have 5 screens where a weirdo indie movie is shown. Maybe.
Yes.
Maybe try that.
Maybe try it.
Could be a good idea.
Could be a good idea. Because everyone wants to see Marvel character. I'm trying to think of one that's not Ant-Man. That's current.
She-Hulk.
No, in the cinematic universe, dum-dum.
She is in the cinematic universe.
What?
She is part of... Yeah, she exists in the same world as Ant-Man.
That's a lie. All right, I'm ending this. I'm a very patient man, but when you start talking about that stuff, I just lose my mind.
Okay, here, brother, I'm right with you, especially with the looming DC revolution. Now that James Gunn is on board, I am like, F Marvel, F that whole world. It's going down the tubes anyway.
We're Flash
Let's just
heads
leave it
here.
behind. Yeah. I'm way more excited for The Flash than I am any Marvel movie. I'll say that right now.
I want to see Michael Keaton with his stupid cowl that he can't even turn his head in.
That's awesome.
No, I love that they kept it.
I will argue for that. People make fun of that all the time, but when you watch that movie, it's actually kind of unintentionally genius.
Yeah.
Because it gives Batman a weird kind of inhuman movement about him. Yeah. Where he's like, he has to turn his whole body. When you start picking it apart, like logically, like why would
he do this?
Why would he have a cowl where he can't turn his head? He has to turn his whole body. But like it does give him kind of a inhuman quality about him.
Yeah.
I don't think they meant that, but that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was just like, oh shit, he can't move his neck. They didn't think of that at all.
Yeah.
God. All right. Well, that's Skinamarink. Go watch it. Pee your pants like a baby, like I did.
Yes.
And follow us on. We have Instagram, Facebook. I almost said Twitter. We don't have a Twitter. But I'll make one. And then if you're watching this on YouTube, we have Spotify. And if you're watching this on Spotify, we also have a YouTube channel. And on our YouTube channel, I also make other videos about fucked up movies. So you can watch those too. If you want to get real crazy, you know. And yeah, we also have Pandora, Samsung, wherever you can listen to a podcast, pretty much I think we're on. So I don't even know at this point. So
are we on Apple?
No,
Apple?
Maybe not.
Maybe not,
because for some reason I don't trust. No, I know why. Because when I applied to it, I had to read a lot of rules, and I said, "Nope." That was why I'm like, I'm not.
That's fair.
I'm not selling you my body or my identity, Apple. So that's when I was like, nope.
I don't blame you.
Watch, we just flushed a multi-million-dollar deal down the toilet with Apple.
Yeah, right. We could have gotten thousands of listens.
Their stupid rules. Yeah. So, follow us wherever we are. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.